Welcome everyone, good evening, warm welcome. Just as we're allowing people through into the Zoom, feel free to share in the chat where you're logging in from, where in the world you are. We'll get started shortly. Make sure that you're comfortable, that you've got, mat, and Susanna will mention any other props in a moment. Have some water, whatever you need to feel really comfortable this evening. And we will make a start. So welcome to the Yogamatters community. We're so happy to have the lovely Susanna Edwards and Alison McNaught here this evening. Just a brief intro to introduce both of our guests tonight. Susanna is the founder and director of the School of Creative Wellness, blending yoga, breathwork, and creative practices to help women cultivate self-care and connection. And Alison is an integrative therapist who offers a collaborative, trauma-informed approach, tailoring her work to each individual's needs. Tonight, Susanna and Alison are going to lead you through a session focusing on recognition, the early warning system. So take it away, Susanna.
Thank you. So I'm really happy to be here, and especially to be working with Alison. This is a cross-disciplinary collaboration, so it's kind of a first for Yogamatters, where we believe that wellness is a holistic process. So I'm going to be leading a 45-minute yoga session, and then we're going to have a 10-minute slot where Alison comes in and we do some kind of reflection based on the somatic work that we're doing. This is part of a series of 5 classes, so if you haven't booked in, book in for the other 4. And I'm recording all of them and putting them up on my YouTube channel. We will be using the chat function in the session with Alison, so we're expecting people to hopefully have some dialogue about some of the things that have come up from the session. So tonight's class, we're going to need a few props. You can DIY your props if you haven't got a bolster, so you can use a bolster or some cushions or pillows, some blocks or books, and maybe a blanket as well. And we're going to start off tonight just laying on our back in easy rest pose. So coming down onto our back and just allowing the knees to flop together and the feet to the heels to go out towards the edge of the mat. And maybe you just lift your pelvis, tilt it up and lay the sacrum down on the floor. Maybe you put your hands behind your head, just lift your head gently, stretch the back of the neck. And we're just going to settle in, closing the eyes down if that's comfortable for you, or a soft gaze. And we're just going to start tuning inwards to the breath. Feeling the breath coming in through the nostrils, noticing the temperature of the breath as it comes down through the throat, feeling an expansion of the rib cage on the inhale and belly rising on the inhale. So we're filling up with all that goodness, all that prana, chi, energy, oxygen. And then on the exhale, a nice, slow, steady release. And just following this rhythm, almost like waves washing in and out of the shore. Inhaling, everything expanding. And exhaling, seeing if you can just soften and release, even if it's just 5%. Feeling and following the breath. I'm going to sit up, but you stay where you are. Beautiful. So the breath is very important for us to tune into here. Really noticing the quality of the breath and just intentionally slowing the breath down. Feeling this rhythm, this expansion, and a falling and a softening on the exhale. We're going to be working in a practice using Yin Yoga tonight. And Yin Yoga is long hold postures. They're all floor based, they're shapes. And we use breath and gravity to release tension. And what we're doing is we're sending our focus, we're sending our mind's eye into the body, and we're just becoming curious about the sensations that we're feeling. But intentionally slowing the breath down, staying with the rhythm of the breath, breathing in all that goodness, filling up the body. And on the exhale, just softening and letting yourself melt a little bit further into the floor. Tonight we're going to work with a traditional Chinese medicine focus, because Yin Yoga works in line with traditional Chinese medicine. And we're looking at the kidney and the urinary bladder meridian lines. And sometimes they can equate to emotions such as fear and anxiety. And we're targeting these areas to clear any blockages. And we're deeply stretching the back line of the body and the inner legs. And by slowing the breath down, we're activating our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest. We're telling our body that it's safe to just breathe, to just be still. Couple more breaths here, couple more rounds, feeling and following the breath. So we're noticing any sensations in the body tonight, in any of the postures. Noticing with a sense of curiosity and with self-compassion. You might feel certain emotions, you might feel certain areas of tension, you might feel things that feel close to the surface of the skin or deep near the bones, and we're just observing. We're observing with a sense of curiosity and kindness. Last breath here. And now just gently rolling onto your side. I'm just going to stay here for a breath in a fetal position. And just be curious about the sensation. We've moved now from laying on our back to our side. So the feeling of contact on the earth is in the side of the leg, the hip, the side of the arm, the foot, maybe the head. And just notice that shift in your body's relationship to gravity. Pulling the mind inwards to the body. And then you can just use your hand to just push you up really nice and slowly. And we're going to come to a seated position. Now, you might want to sit on a blanket, a folded blanket. We're going to be coming into a butterfly pose. So we're going to be bringing the soles of the feet together. Sometimes people tip back in this pose. If you find that you're tipping back, you need to raise your hips by sitting on a block or a blanket. So we're bringing our feet together and we're going to introduce a acupressure point for self-massage. So I'm going to come up and show you my foot, sorry. So just coming up to show you my foot. Now, in between the second and third toe, if you trace a line down to just under the ball of the foot. So you're in the middle of the foot, about a third of the way down. And that is K1, kidney 1, an acupressure point for grounding. So in tonight's class, you're going to have some practical tips for you to revisit, to bring yourself back down to earth yourself. So just in a butterfly pose, bringing the soles of the feet together, You can bring them in towards the body, or if that's too much, you can sort of shift them out a little bit. And we're going to bring both thumbs onto K1, the kidney point. And this grounds any rising energy. So when we get stressed, our energy rises, our breathing rises, it gets shallow, everything moves up towards the sky. And what we're doing here is we're slowing the breath down, we're activating our parasympathetic nervous system, and we're doing a double whammy of massaging this K1 point on the foot. So now we can start to fold into our butterfly pose, just coming forward and just rounding over your feet. Depends how far you go down. I can't reach the floor, but you might want to put a block or even a bolster under your head for support. Sometimes a bolster is pretty nice in this position. Just, you need to get as comfortable as you can be. Sometimes pulling the flesh out from underneath your bottom really helps you to root down through your sit bones. And we're just settling into this posture here. And we're holding it for about 5 minutes. Gently massaging. You can massage in a surface area of about a 1 or 2 pence piece. You're going to hit that acupressure point. So don't worry too much about getting it perfectly, worrying about where the point is. There's a slight indentation. And you might start to feel it. And this point promotes grounding, it alleviates anxiety, and it reduces stress. So really good go-to point. And we're just allowing the upper body to get heavy here. Allowing the breath to move into the back of the body. We're stretching the back here, the back line of the body, and we're also working the insides of our legs. So just sending the breath deep into the body, filling up with that beautiful prana, oxygen, chi, energy, and slowly softening and yielding into the pose on the exhale. So this point, K1, acts as a grounding point, and it draws any excess rattling energy down from the crown of the head into the earth. It's thought to help with sleep improvements, helps quiet an overactive mind, to combat insomnia and racing thoughts. And it's believed to boost energy reserves and restore balance when feeling burnt out or tired but wired. Feeling and following the breath. And if your mind wanders, don't worry. You can keep pulling it back in over and over again to the body, just with a sense of curiosity, with kindness, with self-compassion, just noticing any sensations. Maybe you notice some patterns of holding in the body, some gripping. I always grip in my jaw, so maybe just move the jaw. Maybe if you notice anything in your shoulders, send the breath into that area. Fill it up, and then on the exhale, just soften and yield a little bit deeper. And just acknowledge any urgency that you might have to do the posture. We're not really doing the posture, we're feeling the posture, and there's no need for perfection. Everybody's body looks different in a posture, because we all have different length limbs, we all have different skeletal makeup. So it's not about going as low as you can, it's about what am I feeling? Can I send the breath into that sensation? And can I soften? Can I soften and yield and release a little bit more? Last couple of breaths here. Beautiful. And then just gently on the next inhale, release and come back up. And maybe bring the soles of the feet onto the mat. You can bring your hands behind you with your fingers pointing towards your bottom and just drop your knees from side to side. Just taking windscreen wipers. Lovely. So we're just coming out of the posture. Be curious about the sensations that you're feeling. So we're just going to sit here with our legs out for a moment, with the backs of the hands on the legs. And we're going to take a nice, slow, steady breath in and just be curious about the sensations that you're feeling coming out of the posture. Can you feel any sensations under the skin? Any movement of energy, blood? Everything's moving under there, your lymphatic system, your blood, your chi. And particularly when we release a pose, it's almost like a hose pipe that's had a kink in it. And as it gets unkinked, there's a rush of energy and blood and liquid, which clears anything that's stagnant, any blockages in those meridian lines that we're targeting. So just getting curious with kindness, no judgment. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to come now onto our tummies. If you want to have a blanket under your hips, under the front of your pelvis, you can, just for a bit of softness. But we're going to come down onto our tummies and we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So bringing the elbows into the side of the body, more or less under the shoulders, forearms on the floor. This is one option. If you want to take a more restorative option, you can get your bolster and you can just lean over the top of the bolster. This is a gorgeous one. It reminds you of when you were a kid, when you were a child. So I'm going to not use the bolster. So basically I'm bringing my elbows in towards the side of the body. I'm just lengthening my legs out behind me slightly, pushing down through the forearms. And I'm lifting the chest. I'm pushing the sternum forward and my shoulders are moving back and down. And my eyes are just glancing up towards the ceiling. So I'm not wrenching my head up, but I'm just lifting up through the front of the body. And I'm targeting the urinary bladder meridian. We're compressing the lower back here, the sacrum. And we're still using that lovely, long, expansive breath on the inhale. And a slow, soft exhale. Noticing the quality of the breath. Try and keep the glutes soft. And let your heart hang between your shoulder blades. So pushing the sternum forward, shoulders back and down. Feeling and following the breath. So we're gently stimulating the adrenal glands here that sit atop the kidneys. And we're encouraging a recharge of your energy battery. So nice, slow, steady breaths. You can push through the forearms, lifting up through the chest, pushing the sternum forward, shoulders back and down, glancing up. If this is hurting your neck, you can just bring your gaze down to look at the floor, just lengthening out the back of the neck, the cervical spine. And then maybe come back up again. And as you inhale, feel your belly pushing into the floor. And as you exhale, feel your rib cage falling slightly. Inhaling, rib cage expanding. Exhaling, rib cage falling. I'm going to stay here for one more minute. These are just suggestions. All of my poses and my prompts are just suggestions. So you feel what you feel. If it's too much at any time, you can come out, you can lay down. And again, we're trying to find our edge. And our edge is where we feel sensation, but we don't feel pain. We might feel strange sensation, but no pain. Nothing that makes you have a sharp intake of breath or makes you wince. That means that you need to back off out of the pose. So we're finding a softness within these postures. Not too much, not too little. Last few breaths here. Again, soften the jaw, move the jaw, soften the tongue. Notice any patterns of holding. Okay, so we're going to make a pillow with the hands. Bring the elbows out to the side. Bring your toes together. Let your heels flop out to the side and just rest your head on your hands. And we're going to take a deep breath in. And we're going to sigh it out. We're going to take 2 breaths in. And sigh it out. 2 breaths in through the nose. And sigh out through the mouth. 2 breaths in. And sigh out through the mouth. Keep that going. And then just let your breath return to normal. Just don't think about your breath now. And just notice how it feels to be on your front. To have the front body making contact with the earth. See if you can relax your tummy into the earth. Relax your shoulders, your jaw. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Beautiful. Okay, bringing your hands to each side of your chest. Just tuck the toes under and push yourself up. And we'll come onto all fours. And we'll just take a couple of cat-cows here. Just a little bit of gentle movement. So the knees are more or less under the hips, the hands under the shoulders, and we're going to inhale, dropping the belly button, pushing the sternum forward, the heart forward, shoulders back and down, glancing up. Exhaling, rounding through the spine, tucking the tailbone under, chin to chest. Inhaling, dropping the belly button, spreading the sit bones, pushing the sternum forward, shoulders back and down, glancing up. Exhaling, rounding through the spine, tucking the tailbone under, chin to chest. Inhaling, dropping the belly button, spreading the sit bones, pushing the sternum forward, shoulders back and down. And exhaling, rounding through the spine. Gorgeous. So we're going to come into our next posture, which is caterpillar. So again, it might be that you want to sit up on a blanket and just raise your hips slightly. And you might want a block or a book and a pillow for this next posture. So coming to sit, pulling the flesh out from underneath you. Lovely. And if you haven't got the props, it's fine. You don't have to do it with props. So we're lifting up through the crown of the head and we're really rooting down through the sit bones on the floor. And if you find yourself tipping back and rounding your back, then just elevate your hips even higher, a few blankets or a block, or even on a bolster, if you've got two. So I'm going to bring the bolster on top of my legs, and I've got my block to hand, and I'm just lifting up through the crown of the head, and I'm folding forward from the hips and coming forward, and then I'm rounding down. And at first I like to get a book or a block and just rest my forehead on the block. So caterpillar pose. We're working the entire back line of the body here. The hamstrings. If this is too much on your the backs of your knees and you need to have your knees bent slightly, you can roll a blanket to pop underneath the back of the knees. And then once you're settled in with your props just the way you like them, you can start to really focus on your breath. Pulling the breath into the back of the body, filling up with prana, chi, oxygen, energy, feeling that expansion on the inhale, and then softening and yielding on the exhale. And we're staying here for another 4 minutes, feeling and following the breath. So we're targeting the urinary bladder meridian, the entire back line of the body from the heels all the way up to the crown. And you're allowing your spine to round kind of naturally here. And the bladder meridian is the longest in the body. So as you hang here, imagine tension draining out through the top of your head. Softening the jaw. And what we're doing with this type of practice is we're using repetition, basically. We're reprogramming our neural pathways. We're telling our body that it's safe. We're moving away from doing into feeling. We're moving away from striving, being productive, doing, to just feeling. And over time, this is a technique, these techniques you can bring into your daily lives. And the more we pull our awareness inwards, the more we're listening to our body, and our bodies are wise. Our bodies can tell us when we're stressed. But unfortunately, we tend to ignore our bodies because we're living in our heads. So this type of practice, this constant repetition of tuning into the breath, of tuning into the sensations, helps you develop a vocabulary and a dialogue with your body. And you can start to recognize the signs, you can start to recognize the signs of stress. Feeling and following the breath. So maybe you can feel sensations of tension. Maybe the breath takes you somewhere and you feel something that's sticky or tight or gripping. And maybe you can send your breath to that area and just let it soften on the exhale slightly, even if it's just 5%. Oh. Feeling and following the breath. This is a particularly calming posture. It's great to do before bedtime. Sometimes we need to put a little gap between our day and sleep, and doing a down-regulating practice, even if it's just one posture, even if you pop your legs up the wall or you take a caterpillar pose, and just tune in and slow your breath. You'll start to get sleepy. You'll start to quieten the mind. Softening the jaw. Softening the root of the tongue. Allowing the belly to soften. One more minute here. And noticing when things start to shift. I'm in a very different position now to where I was when I started the pose. Because we're working our connective tissues, we're working our fascia, which is the cellophane-like material that wraps around our muscles and our muscle fibers, our joints, our ligaments. It keeps our whole body contained. And if we don't stress and compress and stretch your fascia, it can get very tight and it can get sticky and get adhesions. So what we're doing here is we're compressing and stretching these connective tissues and joints and ligaments, and we're lubricating our body, we're nourishing our body, even down to our bone marrow. Last breath here. And very slowly start to come up. Nice. And just take the prop off. And we're just going to sit here for a moment upright, noticing how it feels for your upper body to hinge back up. Noticing any subtleties, subtle things within the body. Is there a sense of anything trickling down towards the floor, towards the earth? How does it feel to release the stretch in the back? Almost like your body's pulling itself back together again. Gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to take a lunge now. So we're going to come, I'll show you both in both directions. You might want your blanket in the middle of your mat, just to protect your knees. And you want to take your blocks or bricks to the front of the mat. And we're going to start off by bringing the right knee forward. And we're going to bring and I'll show you this way. So your knee needs to be over your ankle or behind your ankle, not in front. And we're going to bring the bricks to the inside of the foot, and we're dropping the hips forward and down. So that back leg is stretching out behind you. And we're going to heel toe the right foot out and come onto the side edge of the foot. And you can play around with your blocks. And again, you don't have to have blocks. You can have your hands on the floor. So we're in a dragon wing. We're targeting the inner leg. And we're just going to hold this for about 2 minutes on each side, feeling and following the breath. So this is quite often thought in traditional Chinese medicine and in Yin Yoga. This posture in Yin Yoga is thought to release anger and frustration. So if you're angry and frustrated about the England football match, this is the pose for you. So in the feeling and following the breath. This is a slightly more challenging pose in that it requires a kind of mental effort to embrace the pose and to breathe into it. Feeling and following the breath. Allowing the hips to get heavy. Sending the breath into where you're feeling sensation and trying not to grip or to hold. Trying not to tense or to compensate. So let's just mentally soften the jaw here. Take nice, slow, steady breaths. Feeling and following the breath. Surrendering into the pose. It's a sort of posture that there's such sweet relief when you release it, and you feel incredible afterwards. It is worth it. So stay with it if you can. Feeling and following the breath. Last minute here. Quite often, if we're in survival mode and we're firefighting and we're reacting to stress, we tense the body, we suck everything up. We clench our buttocks, we tense our stomach, we tense around our pelvis, our shoulders, our jaw, everything gets sucked up. So now we're kind of consciously breathing and softening and letting things soften and release. Last breath here. Now coming out of this, it's slightly arthritic. Go slow. So just bring the foot back, and I'm going to bring my blocks either side of my leg, and I'm going to straighten the front leg and just lean over the front leg, bringing my bottom back towards my heels slightly in half splits. So I've alleviated the pressure that was happening in the posture, and I'm shifted. Now I'm just stretching the right hamstring. Okay, so we're going to do the other side. I'll show you first of all this way, so bringing the left foot forward. And again, sometimes I tuck my toe behind me and just lift up that back leg, place it down, and I'm really sinking my hips forward and down. I'll show you this way. Slightly masochistic, this pose, so I absolutely love it. So So bringing the blocks on the inside and toe heel, heel toe out to the side of the mat, and then coming out onto the outer edge of that foot. Winged dragon. And we're just staying here for 2 minutes, allowing the hips to get heavy, moving down and forward towards the floor. Feeling and following the breath. Noticing any compensation in the body, any gripping or holding. Are you tensing your jaw, your shoulders, your buttocks? Try to soften. Sending the breath deep into the body. And a nice, slow, steady exhale. Feeling and following the breath. So notice what's happening in the mind. Maybe the mind's wandering. That's fine, it's normal. So what we're doing is we're training the mind here to come back into the body. We're going, hey mind, there's a thought. It's okay, let's just watch that one go and bring it back in. Let's bring it back into the breath. Bring it back into the sensation. Over and over and over again. And this is how we train ourselves to quieten the thinking mind and to move into a more embodied place. Last few breaths here. Nice. And the sweet release, straightening that front leg, bringing the block either side of the leg and just straightening the leg, moving the hips back to the bottom towards the back heel and just coming over that front leg. And again, whatever height is good for you. You know, you don't have to get your body in the same shape as me. It's more about what you feel, not what you look like. Gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to come into our last posture before we chat with Alison. So we're either going to use a bolster or a block. I'll show you first of all with a block. If you haven't got either of those, you could really roll up a blanket or a couple of blankets. And we're coming down. So if we're going to use a block, you come down onto your back first of all. I'll show you with both. Bringing your feet onto the floor, and my block is on the medium height. And I'm lifting my hips up, my pelvis up, and I'm placing the block on the back of my sacrum. So you say, where is that? So the line of the block is just above my bum crack. And you'll know because it feels good. It feels a bit strange at first, but then when you soften, you should be able to just let your sacrum kind of melt over the brick. So that's one option. If you wanted to use a bolster, you can just pop that in the middle of your mat, bring your bottom up on the bolster, slide forward slightly, come down onto your back. And again, just play around, find that sweet spot. Oh gosh, this is a good one. And try and keep your knees parallel, your feet planted on the floor. Don't let your knees flop in or out. And you can bring your arms out to the side. Maybe move your chin towards your chest. Ah, sweet relief. And this is a beautiful posture for lower back pain. And what we're in now, we're in a slight inversion. Our heart is higher than our head. So notice when you inhale the subtle difference in the effort required to push your breath into your body. You're pushing your breath up an incline. Feeling the body, and then softening and releasing on the exhale. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just going to stay here for 1 more minute. I'm going to come and take a look at everyone. Gorgeous. Lovely. Feeling and following the breath. Beautiful. So many people practicing together. So this is what I was going to say, is regular practice is the way that we prevent burnout. We notice the signals, we become more embodied, and we notice. And we know what to do. We know how to self-soothe, how to calm our nervous system. You're going to get a PDF sent to you after this practice with a free class. So hopefully you can come and practice with me on a Sunday evening. Okay, so we're going to now, on the next inhale, just push the hips up towards the ceiling. Remove the bolster. And just come up to a nice seated position. Just take a breath, and we're going to move into lovely Alison, who's going to talk to us a little bit about what we've been feeling with her integrative therapist head on and her internal family systems head, which is fascinating. I think you can unmute, yeah.
I'll just wait for everybody to arrive back. Not that you're not here, but back in
the room.
Back in the room, so to speak. So, yeah, as Susanna said, and Tawny gave me a lovely introduction. I'm an integrative therapist, and lately I've been working with and utilising a modality of therapy called internal family systems, which in itself integrates lots of teachings from lots of different types of therapy. And in internal family systems, there are some core beliefs. And one is that we all have a self, and that the self is like our seat of consciousness, and it's akin to a soul. We all have one. It's like it's a wise mind. And as well as a self, we have many parts of us. It also assumes a multiplicity of mind. And in IFS, the parts are kind of divided up. We've got a protective system, which has managers and firefighters. Not sure if any of you are familiar with this terminology, but I just thought I would let you know about them before we continue. Managers and firefighters exist in our system to help us. All of our parts are here to help us. And much of the time, they may be working really hard to protect what's known in IFS as exile parts of ourselves. These are parts that can often hold like painful memories, shame, trauma, feelings of unworthiness. And our managers and our firefighters work very hard to protect those parts of us, which sometimes can present us with like barriers to rest, which sometimes leads to us approaching what we call burnout. So in terms of what you've just done, the lovely practice that Susanna led, I'm really interested in how it was for you. And we can think about our experience, or we can feel into it. And I'd really like to invite you to reflect on what came up for you in both body and mind when you were engaging in the exercises. What, you know, what went through your mind? What popped up? What hurts the most? How did that feel? Were parts of your body talking to you? What was your internal dialogue like when and if you found something really difficult or was met with resistance? So, yeah, I'd just like you to take a moment and think about this. And if anybody wants to pop anything in the chat, that's really welcome. You know, I noticed then I didn't do the practice with you. I was watching the class, and it kind of made me think about how I feel like when I'm practicing yoga. I'm not great at forward bends, and I sometimes get into a real head mess with them, and that takes me away from the practice and takes me into, you know, sometimes a quite a teleoffy internal dialogue. So, you know, I'd like to invite you to think about how that was for you for a moment. Yeah, and if there are anybody wants to put anything in the chat, to share anything, that's very welcome.
Is the chat working for you? Give us a thumbs up. You can just try a type. And again, it can just be a few words. It could be, yeah, we're not asking for essays.
No,
but,
or, you know, this is just an invitation, you know, this is really an invitation. Because
I can't see any.
No, I can't either.
Chat. Is Tawny, are you there?
Yes, we've just had someone pop a message saying that they're testing the chat, so it is coming through.
Okay.
I can manage if any other comments come through and read them out. That's
brilliant,
no problem.
because we can't see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
So someone just shared peaceful.
Peaceful, okay.
I'm afraid we can't do the mics off. It has to be through the chat, Jane, sorry.
Someone else sharing some of the poses I found challenging.
Okay. So I would invite you to, if it's challenging, to come to think about what you were saying to yourself when they were challenging and how that was for you, what your internal dialogue was like. Are you compassionate to yourself? Do you get frustrated with yourself? Does that put a barrier in? To try to, it's like an internal inquiry to find out what's going on, in there.
I think it took me quite a while to tune into these patterns. These patterns of resistance and holding. Yeah. And I say it a lot in the teaching, but we all have them. We all have these patterns of holding. We live in a very reactive, stressful, we've constantly stimulated. And for me, the internal dialogue, and also going to studios as well. Like when I first started practicing, it was like, oh, I don't look right. Oh, I need to look like the person next to me, or oh my God, there's a mirror there, and I'm just looking at myself. And actually, to switch all of that noise off and to just actually honestly tune into your felt sense is really difficult sometimes.
Yeah. And I think, you know, from an internal family systems perspective, it's, you know, there may be a part of you that's talking to you while you're practicing, saying that you're not good enough, you're not good at yoga, you don't look right, you can't do it. Those types of things. There might be a part of you saying, oh, I can't be bothered, you know, I can't be bothered. There might be a part that disassociates.
Yeah.
And it's all welcome. And I think what we're trying to invite people to do is have a think about what's going on inside when you're practicing. And
also this is like a new format for us. Like you might think, oh God, what are we doing now? We're what we're doing. I was just like really chilled out in my
not.
But actually what we're doing is over the 5 weeks we've got these set areas of exploration, both somatically and psychologically, so that you'll receive worksheets and the recording of, I'm recording this, so this will be on my YouTube, so you can revisit the practice, you can work through the worksheets, and hopefully by the end of the series you'll have a set of methods and a form of self-inquiry that will help you prevent burnout. So that's the idea behind what we're doing.
Suzanne, Alison, have you seen the messages I've shared directly to you?
No, I can't see any messages. I don't know why.
I can see one message, and it's from Angela.
Yes.
And it's like, I love Yin Yoga in the way that you feel it is so difficult, and then your body relaxes into the pose. It does open your mind. Yeah, that's lovely. And I think that is what Yin does. It invites us in and allows us to go with, you know, to ease in and go with it and give us options. So thanks, Angela. That's like,
I've got a few more that I can read out for you.
Wonderful.
I found it hard to stay still to start with. When I found stillness, I was nodding off and in a bit of a dream state and relaxed afterwards. Someone else sharing, it felt calm, but I also started to think about some of my current problems.
Okay.
And a couple more here. I felt almost instantly sleepy when I started the practice and think my body started resisting that a bit at first, but then I relaxed into it more. I love Yin Yoga, someone else. I love how it does challenge your body to begin and then the relaxation into the pose after.
Yeah. And we've got, one from Jane as well, and I've got, one from Ruth. If I relax into the pose, then I feel sad. That's really interesting, and I think that's something that you can be, depending on how you feel about the sadness, that, go gently with that. And, I would encourage a kind of a gentle inquiry, thinking about, what perhaps needs to be spoken, and it might be that spoken or felt, that there are parts of you that are looking to release some sadness. So once the relaxation happens, then it's an opening, and I think lots of people can experience that as well. But I would really encourage, it's Ruth, the person that wrote that, to sort of do a gentle inquiry with that.
And it's also like, it's really, Yin Yoga always has people weeping, quietly weeping, which is amazing because it's a safe space to be able to feel. And I think sometimes that's the point, is that we don't create these safe spaces for ourselves. There is no opportunity. So actually the feeling sad is really beautiful. It's like, and it's an expression. And I love Jane's comment here. I think Jane's been to my classes before. I recognise the name. But, you know, you've had long COVID from burnout and you knew that the lunges would be too much. They're quite challenging. So you sat them out. Yes, that is like amazing. Autonomy, decision making.
And it's, you know, coming from a place of self-compassion. And what I'm interested, you know, that's new behaviour. That's amazing. You know, I'm also interested in how you got to that behaviour and how many times you perhaps didn't sit it out, and what was your journey? How did you get there? But you know, that's amazing. And you know, sometimes those things can be really uncomfortable. Not the pose, the making the decision not to do, you know, making the decision not to go there, not to do it. But you know, in the worksheet, and I say it's all an invitation. You know, I'm trying to encourage you to think about or feel about what comes up for you when you try to rest. What comes up to you when you plan to rest. What's driving you? Who are you listening to? And to try to approach things from a sense of self. And in internal family systems, there are qualities of self, which I think Yin Yoga really does cultivate. And there are 8 C's, and it's calmness, curiosity, compassion, confidence, courage, clarity, connectedness, and creativity. Because, you know, if you can't do something, you can be creative about it, as you know. And that's what Susanna's all about. It's like, you know, adjusting, using blocks. And you know, I'd really encourage you over the next week to look at those qualities, or to look for those qualities if you're when you're approaching rest. Yeah, I think that's kind of it from me now. And as I say, it's all an invitation. And I'd be really interested to kind of hear from you about, you know, what's coming up, how your systems work.
So in the PDF that's going to be sent out, you've got Alison's contact details. You're going to get the worksheet, and also there's signposting to other resources, because like it's been noted tonight, yoga can bring stuff up. Yeah. This is one of the reasons why I've wanted to collaborate with Alison, because I feel it is our responsibility as yoga teachers to be able to signpost. It isn't as simple as come to a yoga class and all this stuff comes up and then see you later. Yeah. You know, we have a responsibility as yoga teachers to ensure that you as clients have correct signposting for other support if you need it. So I've got a page on my website which has got lots of websites and links. You've got Alison's number if you wanted to get in touch with her, and you've got these worksheets. And hopefully what we're offering, if you stay with us over the entire series, you know, you'll have these kind of exercises and these checkpoints that you can reference, plus the somatic practice as well, to soothe and calm the nervous system. So yeah, hopefully by the end you will be amazing, facing life like amazing people, and not burning out, because I burnt out and it's horrible.
Yeah, me too. And you know, I'd like to emphasize what Susanna said. We really want to create a safe container, and you know, if it, you know, if sadness does emerge, then we'll be really gentle with it. You know, go gently, be gentle with yourself, and you know, we'll create the safest container possible, and it's all welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Al.
No worries.
So we're going to come back from this back into our bodies again for the last 10 minutes. So we're just going to finish off the practice back on the mat. We're going to take a block, And we're going to come into a wide leg child pose. So bringing your knees wide and your toes together, your bottom back towards your heels. Now if your bottom's sticking up in the air, which is absolutely fine, you can get a blanket and just pop it behind the knees to just bring a bit of padding. And we're going to get our block or our book, and if you haven't got a block or book, you can just use your hands. And we're going to bring our eyebrows onto the block. And we're going to rest our eyebrows on the block, and we're going to roll our head from left to right. Oh, I've now transferred my eyebrows onto the block. So what we're doing here is we're massaging the eyebrow area, and we're massaging acupressure points, and we're activating our parasympathetic nervous system because we're massaging the nerve endings around the eyes of the vagus nerve. So this might feel a bit painful. So as you're rolling your head from side to side, you might notice a really painful bits. Sometimes it feels a bit like brain freeze when you have some ice or a cold drink. And you might want to just hover and just do micro movements. We're just moving over the block. Nice, slow, steady movement. Don't forget to breathe. And feeling and following the breath. Ironing out those worry lines in the forehead. And then just come to stillness. And maybe just take the block away for a moment, and we'll come into a full child pose. Bringing the chest towards the floor, the forehead towards the floor, the arms out in front of you. Filling up the back of the body with your breath. And imagine that I've got my right hand on the top of your right shoulder and my left hand on the bottom left of your back, and I'm pushing your back down and away. So I'm spreading you down towards the floor. And then taking your hands the other side, so my left hand is on the top left shoulder, my right hand is in the bottom left of your back, and I'm pushing down and away. I'm spreading you down towards the ground. Bottom moving back towards the back of the room, and chest towards the floor. And just staying here. For another few rounds of breath, relaxing the jaw, pulling all that oxygen, prana, energy into the body, and slowly releasing. And then on the next inhale, just very slowly, gently push yourself up and make your way to seated. And we're going to end with a short meditation. If you want to sit on a blanket, you don't have to sit cross-legged. You could straddle a bolster. You can sit with your legs out in front, whatever feels good for you. So just pulling the flesh out from underneath you. Oh. We're kind of like untilting the pelvis. So we tend to tilt our pelvis. We tend to, as women, I know that there's men in the class as well, but particularly as women, you kind of make yourself small. So actually, let's untuck the pelvis. Let's open up and give those organs some room in the pelvic area. Let's feel the sit bones rooting down into the floor, feeling the crown of the head lifting up towards the ceiling. And close down the eyes if that's comfortable for you, or you can have a soft gaze ahead of you. And we're going to do a seated meditation called Soham, which translates from Sanskrit to I am, or I am that. So I am part of something bigger than me. So as we inhale, we're going to imagine that we're drawing a coloured liquid or smoke down through a tube, through the crown of the head, all the way down through all of the chakras, down through the roots and into the earth. So we're drawing on the inhale and we're saying in our heads the word so. Deep down into the earth. And then on the exhale, we're pulling that liquid or coloured smoke all the way back up through the crown of the head and out into the sky. And we're going to say the word hum. Inhaling, drawing that coloured liquid smoke all the way down through our central column, all the way down through our root into the earth. So. And then on the exhale, we're visualizing it moving all the way back up through the crown of the head. Ham. And just keep going in your own rhythm. So, ham. Keeping it going. One more round. So, hum. And then just breathe normally, shoulders relaxed, eyes closed. Take your right hand on your shoulder and your left on your shoulder and just squeeze your shoulders and your arms. Give yourself a nice hug. Oh, I can't stop doing this at the moment. Hugging myself. And then swap the hands over the other side. Give yourself a lovely hug. Oh, how divine. And then you can bring your left hand onto your heart and your right hand onto your tummy. And you can repeat after me or in your head. May this practice heal and strengthen my body and my mind. May this practice heal and strengthen my body and my mind. Thank you for practicing with me and with Alison, and I hope that you got something from tonight's class. Go kindly, go gently, go easy. Sorry, I always crawl towards the camera. It would be so lovely, even if you can't make it, sign up each week because then you'll get the handouts and the links to the recordings. Tell your friends to come because I feel it's really important, this work. It's really, really important. So yeah, rest well, drink lots of water. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Susanna. Thank you, Alison, for a wonderful session. Thank you all of the Yogamatters community for joining this evening. Please do come again next week. Next week's session will be resistance, softening the shield. So we look forward to welcoming you then. Take care, everyone. Bye.